Okay, so we talked about valid strings and how you want to enter something and have it checked and have it say something. So we messed with that. So let's try something different. Let's try let's check where you see something like you say hello and you check it and you want a message and a button to pop up. Okay. So right now, that's how it used to work. I took the code out. You check it, and right now it doesn't do anything. I took the code out. What you saw before was I took the code out, I didn't reload the page, and you can see how it worked. All right, so this should be fairly familiar from the previous video and previous things you've done, where you enter a valid string that says hello, you hit a button, and then it gives you a message. But we want that button to appear. And so what you do is you create another button, okay? But, and we went over this at the beginning of the year, or close to the beginning of the year, probably more second quarter. Now this is inline styling, CSS, okay? So style, now I said you probably never want to use this, but because these are smaller projects, you can kind of get away with just using a little bit. If you want this one button to do a ton of stuff, yes, create a CSS. If you want it to light up and twirl around and do all kinds of stuff, yes, create a separate CSS file and use a class. Otherwise, just for the purpose of this right here and you building this and trying it out, just go ahead and set display to none. And what you'll see is you have a button, you have a button, you have a button. Hey, where did that button go? That's because you set display to none. It's there, the code is there, but you're telling the browser, don't show it on the screen, okay? So let's get into doing the script. Okay, the first thing you want to do, and this will probably take a pause, and this isn't really anything new, is you're going to create a constant, and input box is tied to this ID, input box, and here's the ID. And again, you can name these whatever you want. So like, I can name these ABC, but when you code, you got to make sure that everything matches up. Like if you name the constant A, you got to make sure that it's referred to as A further into the code. If you want to name this something different, make sure it matches up here. Okay, so you have input box, check button, and submit button. Input box, check button, submit button. And these are just, cleverly, like I said, you can name these whatever you want. So let's give us some room here. Let me give some room down here. There, so we can scroll around. All right. Now, the next thing you want to do, and we already talked about this, is an event listener. So you want to create an event listener. Remember, you wrap that in some parentheses. And you want to have a semicolon there. And so remember, and pay attention to the naming convention. So like the last video I got hung up, I didn't camel case the B. So you see that's camel case right there. Now remember, you want the event is going to be a click on check button. Check button is check. Okay. So your event is click, and you want it to run a function. And remember, functions have the curlies, and you got to define the function. So you have the parenthesis, you got the function with the pass through, and you got the curly right there, and now we're good to write the guts. Okay, so you have on click. Now you want it to read what's in here. And remember, you have to create a const So you have to define the variable. So let's call this const, okay, input value. And it's going to equal, up here it's input box dot value. And let me scroll around a bit, and there we go. And so the constant is input value, so I just gave it a unique name. And I'm tying it to whatever is read in this box. And we're just going to tell the JavaScript to look at the value that's put in the box. Okay. So now remember, we want this to check if it's a valid string, and that's where we have to use Boolean values. So remember, if it is a true condition. So if I put this is going to equal hello or goodbye or the band Nirvana or Pearl Jam or whatever, the if is I want this to do something if the user does something correct in this box. So if input value equals, got to group that together, equals, and let's just go with capital G goblins. Got to wrap that in quotes. Okay, and remember, we have to set what we want it to do, and we got to wrap that in some curlies. And let's not confuse it with the curlies down here. Remember in the last video, we had like a whole set of punctuation and curlies down here. We just kind of have to like set it aside and forget that it's there for the time being. And like I said, if you click on them, you want to make sure that they match, that they're kind of clamshelled in as you should see it. So if the input value is goblins, I want it to do two different things. First, I want it to write a sentence. And then secondly, I want a button to pop up only if they type in capital G goblins. Okay. Now this is just one of those things. It's the thing with coding is, if you were to think of the Spanish language, why is pelo hair? I don't know. Just say it so in that language you can say the word hair. Okay, fair enough. Well, here's submit button. So we already defined submit button. Why is it .style.display? Well, remember how we turned it off up here. So we got to say style and we got to set display. And why is it block? Block makes it reappear. So by definition, it's already set to block. So you're basically, what you're doing is you're saying, I'm going to turn this off and turn it back on down here. Now, how do you know to do this? Well, you have to apply the ID you gave it so it knows to point there, okay? Style, it's pointing there, and display, it's pointing there, and block. So it's like, why is it red hair in English and pelo rojo in Spanish? Well, that's just the way you assemble the sentence. But you have to point to each of the things that you want to change. This is off displaying right now. Now it's on. Now, as it's coded now, if we wanted to test it, we could test it, and it should work. Capital Goblins. Hey, it works. Lowercase Goblins. Oh, it doesn't work because it's lowercase g. We haven't set the conditional statements if you want an if-else or an else. But remember, we wanted it to do two things. We wanted a button to appear, and we wanted to have it say a statement. And to make it say a statement, remember, you already have a space for it right here to appear. And remember, get element by ID. We've already ID'd it, so we're going to have it point get element by ID response dot text content. Remember last video I messed up and I lowercase it. You want to camel case it. And we're going to say giant spider defeated, or let's change the statement to what ate your friends? Okay, and let's check. So let's reload. Goblins. So maybe it's like Jeopardy. This ate your friends. Goblins. What ate your friends? And then you have a submit button. Okay, so that works. But again, if I do lowercase g, well, let me reload. If I do lower goblins, nothing happens because I haven't set the else. Okay, so let's go ahead and set the else statement. Remember, it needs its own curly bracket. Sometimes you may be tempted, so let me move this curly bracket here. Sometimes you may be tempted to put it inside that curly bracket, but this is statement and the instructions are contained all together. So I got to put instructions inside of this else statement. So the else statement for this is going to be basically you want to make sure that the code knows to not display the button. So it seems redundant because it's not displayed. Hey, when the button's not displayed, when they enter in the wrong thing and click a button, I don't want the button to display. It seems redundant, but you still gotta be thorough and specify. So really, it's the same instruction. It's just Control C, Control V. So it's the same, except you set this instead of block, you set it to none. And I'm going to have it respond a different way. And again, it's basically just this. Control C and Control V. What ate your friends? Let's say, try again. All right. So capital G goblins. Check. What ate your friends? And there's your submit button. Let's reload it. Capital G goblins. Check. Try again. Okay, so this works as intended. You want them to get the right answer. One thing, so a challenge for this is do an else if statement and accommodate maybe instead of goblins, you can say, I don't know, what eats people, spiders. Okay, and do like an if else, you can put a question up here instead of invalid string. What ate your friends? You can say spiders. It can be, you are correct, it is spiders. Or womp womp, try again if they put in like dwarves or something like that. Try an else if I don't know. So we have goblins, spiders. Try two else if statements and give them different messages. You can decide for each else if you want the button to display or not. But in between here, try some else if statements. And why would you want a button to appear? So if you think of it like a choose your own adventure, they enter in the correct text. And in the next video, we'll talk about combining these conditions to where you can create in a game where they click a button and you get an array. All right.